Hello, welcome. We will begin exactly at 12:30. Hi Viresh, welcome. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll begin shortly.
Yes, ma'am.
We will begin shortly.
Okay, ma'am.
Right, so let's begin. So, hello everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar. I'm Mrunmayee. I am a PYP homeroom teacher at Wockhardt Global School. Wockhardt Global School is an IB continuum school based in Aurangabad, Maharashtra. It is IB continuum school in the sense that we offer the PYP, MYP, as well as the DP programs from IB. As a homeroom teacher, I teach English, mathematics, and also in the PYP, we have something known as the unit of inquiry. A unit of inquiry is basically a transdisciplinary unit which spans across many different disciplines such as science, technology, social studies, economics, and all those things together. But even then, the most often the complaint I receive most often from parents is that my child is not very interested in math, or they are not very good at math, or they don't want to try, they do not want to do their homework, and when it's math class or when it's math exam, children suffer from some kind of anxiety, and the general consensus is that math is not a very interesting subject for children, which is truly and completely heartbreaking for me as a teacher to hear, because it is such a fascinating and interesting subject to learn. And arguably, math is one of the most used subjects in our daily lives. We cannot go through a day without using math in some sense or the other in our daily lives. And it is absolutely interesting in the sense that it is full of puzzles. There are so many different it's almost like a game. It's almost like a puzzle. Figuring out a problem is very interesting. It can be very gratifying to solve math problems for children as well as for adults. So it's absolutely a subject that can generate a lot of interest, generate a lot of buzz among children. And when it doesn't, it's for a teacher, it's quite heartbreaking. So before we move on to how to make your students, how to make your children love math, let us figure out, why do kids hate math in the first place? I mean, why this subject is such a big deal or such a big issue for many of the students. So obviously, not all children hate math. I mean, even in my class, I see that some children absolutely adore it. They look forward to their math lessons. They look forward to their math activities, and while others have like a borderline anxiety about the subject, that, oh no, why math again? So why are there such polarized opinions about the subject? Why some kids absolutely love it and there are a certain group of kids which absolutely hate math? So, and how can we as teachers and parents make the subject interesting and remove the fear or anxiety that is in children's mind about this fascinating topic? So let's see the different reasons or the different scenarios that I come across as when parents come to me or when children talk to me about math. These are the different feedback or different opinions that I usually come across. First is when I talk to student and they are not interested in doing a problem or solving a problem, uh, and they don't want to try again and again. The one thing that they sometimes tell me is that I hate being wrong all the time. If I'm not right, if I don't get the right answer and I'm told that I'm wrong and I'm told that you have not done this correctly, I hate that feeling of uh, not getting the right answer. And some children many times tell me that I will not try again, even when I ask them to try out a problem, even if they have not gotten the correct answer. And as a teacher, when I ask them that you need to try again, they say that no, I will not try again because it's going to be wrong anyways. So there is this fear of being wrong, of not getting the right answer, and not being correct, and not being maybe probably repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So these are some of the things that many times kids feel, and that is something that stops them from enjoying the subject as much as they should. Another scenario that I often face is that children cannot remember the formulae, or children cannot remember the tables correctly. So when they are asked to do some calculations mentally, when they're asked to solve a problem and they need to remember certain things that were taught before, they have a fear of not remembering. They think that, okay, what if I don't remember what is 8 times 7 at the time when I'm doing the calculation? So maybe this is not going to work out for me. Or what if I don't remember and I get the answer wrong? Or what if I don't remember and then everyone will think that, okay, this is something very simple that this child is not getting. And that is something that pulls them back from enjoying the calculation or enjoying the topic uh, that they are working on at that time. The fear of not remembering. One more reason and one more common scenario that I do come across is a fear of embarrassment. Many times children think that even if I tell the answer, what if it's the wrong answer? What if everyone laughs at me? What if my teacher thinks I'm not like, this child is not very sharp? Or that what if the teacher thinks that, okay, what if I ask this question, will everyone think I'm stupid? If my classmates will laugh at me if I give the wrong answer. So what children do if they're not sure about their own answer, they usually hold back and then they do not speak in class. And even when they have some kind of questions or something, they are not going to ask it in the class. So it's the fear of embarrassment of thinking that other people will probably laugh at me is what holds them back from enjoying their class. Now, a role of a math teacher is also very pivotal when it comes to students enjoying mathematics. So, if your teacher who's teaching you math is she's not interested, or that person is not interested or invested in the class, sometimes the student will also hold back, and student will also mirror the same negative feelings that the teacher might have about the subject. So many times students tell to me that I don't understand what my teacher is saying. So when I'm attending a math class, I don't understand many a times what are the terminologies that the teacher is using. I don't many times understand or follow the different steps that the teacher has outlined, or that okay, this is what we will do first, this is the second step, this is the third step. So I don't understand how we arrived at the final answer. This is also a query many times put forward by children, and then they don't ask their doubts because they think that probably I'm the only person in the class who doesn't get this. Maybe it is very clear to the other children and the teacher has already outlined the steps, but maybe it's my fault that I'm not able to understand what the teacher is trying to tell me. And this feeling can really reduce the enjoyment and engagement of a student in the class. And another reason for having a fear of math is sometimes the role of parents. So many times math is put on a pedestal, on a very high pedestal. So when I tell certain parents that your children are doing very well in English, they are writing very well, or they are doing very well in some other subject, I get the feedback that, but what about math, ma'am? He's not doing so well in math. So it doesn't mean that if your child is not doing so well in math and he is doing very well in other subjects, that he is not bright enough. It's not, math is not a scale or not a ruler against which we measure intelligence. There are so many different types of intelligences. There are multiple intelligences a child can have. So math shouldn't be the only measurement against which we are seeing, which we are comparing the children and their intelligence. And another type of parents that I come across is that they have struggled in school with math. So they transfer that anxiety towards their children. That, okay, maybe I was struggling with math when I was in school. So it's logical that my child is also struggling. And then there is a complete opposite, that I was so good at math. I'm an engineer. I get this a lot. I was so good at math. And how can my child be so bad at math? And both these things are completely illogical in my sense. Math is not a hereditary skill. It's not something you take from your parents that, okay, because your parents were good at it, you will be good at it, or because they were bad at it, you will be bad at it. That's not how it works. Completely, it is a myth. So even if you have struggled in your childhood with mathematics, that does not mean that you will pass on the same anxiety or the same fears to your children, right? So you have to keep yourself separate from this complete issue. And finally, one thing that I have always noticed amongst children, specifically primary children who are from grade 1 to 5, is that putting time pressure on them really hinders their progress when it comes to solving a mathematical problem. So when we are doing a problem in class as a teacher, as a teacher, if I have given a problem on the board to solve, there might be one or two children in my class who have got the answer in like 5 seconds. And if I ignore the other 98% of my class and I move on just because these two people have solved the question very quickly and very easily, if I move on and I do not consider the other children, it is a big fault on my behalf. Because it is majority of times it happens that even if you give 5 more minutes to a child, and if you take out the pressure of time and you just tell the children that you solve this problem, there is no time limit, you take as much time as you need and you relax and just finish it in your own time, then majority of the times the child relaxes completely and you take away the time pressure, and they can finish it very accurately. Again, I will say that finishing quickly is not equal to finishing accurately. When we are looking at math, many a times we think about mental mathematics and we think about calculations. So if you're doing something very quickly, we think that, okay, that person is really good at it. But that's not always true. We have to look for accuracy. We have to look for uh, understanding of the problem. We have to look for understanding of the subject and not just solving something very fast. Speed is not always a success criteria for being good at anything for that matter, not just math. So many times children think that if I cannot finish this problem in these given 5 minutes or 10 minutes that ma'am has allotted me, then maybe I'll never be able to do it, which is completely untrue. If you take away the time pressure, most of the children will come to that conclusion, will come to the same answer, will follow the procedure and get the right answer without feeling that math anxiety. So, just to summarize the main reasons that I have seen in my class and that in my experience prevent children from loving this subject as much as they want to or as much as they can are fear of not remembering things. So, what was the formula again? What was the table? I don't recall this very clearly. So, that is one biggest fear that children have. Then they also have the fear of being wrong, the fear of embarrassment, that if I give the wrong answer, probably everyone will laugh at me, everyone will think I'm stupid, everyone will think that I'm not doing very well. So that fear of being wrong and fear of being embarrassed in the class is also something that holds children back. Then role of the parents, as we discussed, that yes, if you have that feeling inside you as a parent that okay, I am not very good at this subject, please do not pass on the same to the children. If you are negative, if you have negative feelings about the topic, then your children will catch up on that and they will also develop negative feelings about the subject. And role of the teachers, again, very important in developing interest in any subject, may it be math or language. Teachers play a very important role in generating interest in children's minds about any topic. And especially for math, the thing that is most difficult for children to manage is time pressure. So, what can teachers do differently? As teachers who are responsible for generating interest in the minds of children about a topic, what can we do differently to make children more interested in the subject? So, the first thing that works very positively, is being enthusiastic and energetic in the class. You yourself, if you show the love and passion for a subject, it will mirror in the minds of the children. You can make the lesson more relevant to life, which if you see the pictures here, this was an activity that we did in our class. So where we took our children to a supermarket, and all these children were divided into four.
Ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Okay, all right. I hope it's clear now. There might be some network issue which is causing the problem. Is it better somehow?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. So if you can see in the pictures that are there on the screen, this is an activity that we did with our children. These are grade 4 children, and we had taken them to a supermarket. This was from last year, pre-COVID situation. So we took them to a supermarket and we divided them into groups, and each group was given a shopping cart and a budget of 1500 rupees. And they were not given any grocery list, and they had to buy groceries for their house for a month and fit whatever they need to buy in 1500 rupees. So I'm sorry. So it was very interesting to see them pushing the cart along. And since we had not given them any list, they also had to segregate between the wants and needs. They really needed to see what I want. Maybe I could just buy a toy which is itself cost 1500 rupees, or maybe I go into the grocery aisle and buy some stuff for my household. So that was again a discussion that was triggered by this activity: what are wants, what are needs. And the most interesting thing that we noticed during this entire activity was nobody asked for once for a calculator. Nobody asked for a piece of paper to make their calculations. Nobody asked that I want to write down all the prices of things, because they had to do multiplication, they had to do division, they had to add all the things together to see how much the total bill would be. And nobody asked for a calculator. They all were doing the math mentally. They were helping each other. And even if somebody struggled with a calculation, there was somebody in the group who would do the calculations fast. And they ultimately all tried to fit their entire purchases in those 1500 rupees. And it was a very enjoyable activity. It was something that they always did with their parents. So just getting the freedom to push their cart and buying stuff for themselves were very liberating for them. And they worked out very well. When we actually checked out the items, their calculations were very accurate. So they got that happiness that whatever I calculated mentally, that is exactly what my bill is. So they could relate to that activity very well. And this is how you can make a lesson very relevant to real life, even if you do not go to an actual supermarket. But if you give them an example that they are going to be using in real life, then probably the interest in that subject will skyrocket for them, because they see that, oh, this is something that I need to do every day, this is something I see my parents doing every day, and this is something where I can utilize my talents, my math talents. One more thing that many times teachers and parents also need to do is promote productive struggle. So if your child is solving a math problem and he's taking something like 10 minutes to solve a simple mathematical problem, what you can go and tell that child is, my God, you took so much time. Was it really hard? That is one way to say it. Or you can put a positive spin on it, and you can say that, really, that was really fun. Wasn't it so fun to work so hard and finally get that answer right? So wasn't it fun to solve that problem? Wasn't that a fun 10 minutes? So if you put a positive spin, we are absolutely saying the same thing here. But if you attach these positive feelings to the subject, then the children will also start enjoying the struggle. So that's how you feel when you solve a really difficult Sudoku puzzle, or sometimes when you are making a really good, very difficult, complex mathematical problem, and then you get the right answer. It's instant gratification. Instantly you feel that sense of achievement, that wow, I really achieved this and this was really fun. So attaching a positive feeling to the struggle will definitely help children develop interest in math. As teacher, we can also use differentiated resources. I'm being a little technical here. Let me explain what are differentiated resources. So you have to find a golden middle for as teachers. So if you give a very simple problem to a person who is very interested in math, and he finishes it in 2 seconds, his interest is already lost. His interest will only remain there for 2 seconds, and then he's lost. For the rest of the lesson, you have lost that child. And for somebody who struggles or takes time to solve a problem, if you give a very complicated one, again you have lost the interest, because that child thinks that this is beyond me. I'm never going to be able to do it. I might as well stop now. So both these things have to be avoided. You have to give each child the right amount of complexity, the right amount of difficulty, so that his interest is also peaked, that he feels challenged, but at the same time, the challenge is not so difficult that he leaves it completely. So these differentiation in resources, what resource you give to each child is very important. And for this, as a teacher, you have to know your students really well. You have to know beforehand that what that child might need from me. Like, does that child need to be challenged more, or does this child need something that will give him enough time to solve that particular thing? So those differentiation in the classroom is absolutely necessary. And as math teachers, we really need to slow down. Now, when we were in school, or when in the traditional classrooms, even in some places, you will see that usually the teacher solves an exemplar problem on the board, and then she gives you 10 similar problems to solve, and then you are supposed to answer all of them in a given set of time. This is how all math lessons go in the traditional classrooms. And rather than doing that, what if we start the lesson with only one single problem? And instead of the teacher solving it on the board for you, we all figure out different ways to solve the same problem, find different ways to arrive at the same conclusion. If we give that time to the children, if we spend the entire 30 minutes, 35 minutes class on one single problem, I think the understanding that each child derives and the different ways they come up with to solve that one problem can be much more gratifying, and can result in much more depth of knowledge than just noting down the steps for a problem on the board and then ask the children to copy it down. So just slowing down in your classroom, taking your time along with your children can do wonders for their interest in the subject. And finally, we have to do less doing and more thinking in the classroom. So it connects to my previous point. Then rather than solving 15 similar problems and repeating the same thing over and over again, let's think and solve one problem and come up with different ways to solve one problem. Rather than doing, I'll repeat myself. So rather than doing same problem over and over again with different numbers, take one problem and come up with different ways to arrive at the same conclusion, come up with different ways to solve that one problem. And that should really trigger thinking skills in your students. And then they start enjoying when they say that, okay, I can solve this problem by addition and subtraction, or I can use multiplication and division. And these are both correct ways. So nobody's really wrong here. We are just trying to come at the problem with different angles, and that really helps student develop interest and develop their thinking skills, especially in a subject like math. So now I would like to come to the come to some things that parents can do differently, because many a times we have seen that the environment in school is not the only place where learning happens. Learning happens everywhere. So learning happens at home, and especially in the current situation when children are at home all the time, how parents are contributing to the education of their children has acquired a whole new level of importance. So let's see what can parents do to support their children in this particular subject. So as I said before, do not pass on your math anxiety to kids. Even if you have negative feelings attached to the subject, keep them aside. Give a positive spin to your experiences, to make sure that your kids do not have the same math anxiety that you did. So use positive reinforcements. So let me give you an example. So if I want to tell to my child that, okay, I was really bad at math, and I mean, I used to struggle with math all the time. So instead of saying that, you can tell your children that, see, you are much better than me at your age. It's the same thing. They both mean the same thing. But when you put a positive spin on it, it's you are boosting your children's confidence. Instead of saying that I was bad, that means that it's okay if you are bad as well. Right. So when the child will come to you for help, and he thinks that, okay, my father or mother only are not very good at this, they cannot solve this problem. How am I expected to solve this? So do not cause these feelings in your children's mind. Instead, you can say that you are so much better than me at this age. So when that is really a confidence boosting statement, that is a positive reinforcement, and you are attaching positivity and confidence in children's mind regarding the subject. As parents, please invest in math toys. I'm not talking about the fancy toys. I'm not talking about investing a lot of money into it, but something simple like building blocks, something simple like puzzle books, something very simple like counters, little beads and abacus. All these small things, rather than buying your children some fancy video games and computer games, you can invest in these math toys. And these specifically toys like building blocks and legos are very good, and they are very versatile. You can use them to teach addition, subtraction, fractions, decimals. So many different things can be taught using just plain simple legos. Due to lack of time, I cannot give you more examples, but I would really love to talk about this. And this is very important for parents to support their education in a playful environment, rather than asking them to take their math notebook and keep solving problems, which is stress inducing for both parents and students. Sorry. Yeah. So we can invest in some toys which will be very which will reduce the stress levels, and which will help the children work on their math skills. And also, parents, you need to invest time and efforts with children. Both are equally important. You need to slow down when you are working with children on a math homework or with their assignments. Slow down, take the stress out. Don't force them to finish it fast and then go and play. What you are telling them is that this is something which is very tiring for both you and me, so let's finish this off. This is a task, and then we can be both free. Don't say these things. These cause negative feelings in your children's mind, that this is something that I have to do, this is something that has to be finished so that I can enjoy myself. Why not tell them that this is the enjoyable task, this is a good bonding time for you and me, this is where we both have fun while doing the work. Why treat the work as a punishment, and then playing is some reward? These are small things, but they tend to develop negative feelings about certain tasks in children's mind. Also, expect accuracy, not speed. This also I've said before, so I'll just quickly move on to this point, that do not expect your children to get to the answer fast. Speed is not the success criteria. Speed is not very important. Getting to the right answer matters. Getting the process matters. It's not enough that they can do the calculations in 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds or 1.5 seconds. That's not important. Let them take their time. As long as they are enjoying the process, as long as they are getting to the answer, it's completely all right if they take a little more time than what you are expecting them to come up from. And finally, have a puzzle or a game night. Just take a Sudoku puzzle or just take math riddle books. You get them plenty at many stores, and they're not very expensive as well. Just take a book, sit with your child, solve those puzzles together. You enjoy, let them enjoy, and when you both enjoy, the association becomes of that of a good memory rather than something that we did together and my mom was shouting at me when I was not finishing my homework fast. Instead of this memory, let the memory be that you had fun solving a puzzle together, and that might really really help your child more than anything else, just spending good time with you. Right. And now I'll just share some very practical tools with you guys, so which can be used by both parents and teachers. And these are really practical strategies and basically a summary of what we have discussed so far. So first of all, do not put math on a pedestal. If your child's teacher or if a teacher is telling that a particular student is really good at writing, a particular student has made a beautiful drawing, a particular student has written a fantastic poem, is good at singing, she's good at dancing, whatever skills, whatever good things are there in your children, focus on them. Do not deny those things and say that okay, that is all right, but what about math? Don't say that in front of your children. That is very demoralizing, and that is attaching unnecessary importance to just another subject. Math is just another subject. It's not something that is a criteria, a single criteria for judging intelligence of a person. So do not put math on a pedestal. Do not attach unnecessary importance. I'm not saying math is not important. I'm just saying that sometimes unnecessary importance is given in the minds of parents and teachers. This is a quote by Albert Einstein. Let them play. Play is the highest form of research. So when I say that you have a puzzle night, when I say that please have a game night, when I say that you grab a riddle and discuss with your children and then solve it together, this is playing. This is playing with math. And investing in math toys is again one way to let them play, let them explore on their own. Now, I will also like to remind you that your children, you have never taught them how to use smartphones. You have never taught them how to use iPads. You have never taught them how to use laptops. This is something that they have only learned by themselves by exploring. We have never, as parents or teachers, gone and showed them how to download a game, how to play a game. These things they learn on their own. Why they learn on their own? Because they're enjoying it, they are playing with it, they are exploring, and they learn the best when they are exploring. Let us do the same with math as well. Find a topic or activity which a student has really enjoyed and start there. This is a great tip for teachers specifically. Many a times, most of the times, I start my academic year with patterns. Patterns is something that children absolutely love. They like to make geometric patterns, they like to see colorful patterns, they like to identify patterns in their surroundings. So that is an activity which most of the children enjoy. And if you start there, if you start with something really enjoyable, their interest in the subject is peaked at the beginning, and then they start enjoying and start associating good memories with the subject. Again, find the golden middle of complexity. This is related to the differentiated resources point that I spoke about in the beginning, that you have to give the right amount of challenge to a child based on his interests and abilities. And once you find that perfect amount of challenge, then then the children not only enjoy, they feel challenged, and the sense of achievement they get after solving a problem is much higher. Hands-on activities and manipulatives are the easiest tools to increase engagement. If you have a child in your class for a teacher, or if you have a child at your home who's not very interested in math, who doesn't want to see the math notebook, take the math out of the book. Take the math into kitchen. Give them some seeds, give them some grains, and let them count with that. Let them add with fruits, let them add with money or day-to-day calculations that we are doing. Take them out for grocery shopping, take them out for vegetable shopping, let them calculate the cost of all the vegetables that you are buying. So you don't have to do math only in your math notebook or your math textbook. You can take math out of the book and take it into real life to make it more relevant, more engaging, more exciting for the children, and at the same time developing an interest in a subject which is absolutely engaging and absolutely brilliant. And all children should love it, love to do math, and they should really enjoy themselves while learning about it. So, thank you so much, everyone, for attending the webinar. I'm just going to go through the comments real quick so I can see if there are any questions. Yes. Ms. Nehal has written playing cards are really interesting to children. Yes, I absolutely agree. And this is, yes, so this is again something that a lot of people enjoy, and there are so many magic tricks and tricks that can be done with playing cards. And also, you can include a lot of mathematical things in, like small board games like ludos and snakes and ladders and all those. Math can be done anywhere and everywhere, and it's absolutely fascinating subject, and I hope that you and your children both enjoy the subject as much as we do. And I hope this webinar was interesting and informative for you. And thank you all for attending. Thank you so much for coming and joining the webinar.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you.